All right, so now we are going to the never-ending Man United crisis. Next, that's second on our menu. First off, we are looking at Rashford and Ruben Amorim. I don't know what you have to say about that. And then that's these rumors you're hearing, all the new coach every week.
I mean, first and foremost, I think Rashford ultimately had to go. I mean, as a United fan, the manner in which he left obviously left a bitter taste in the mouth, because this kid has been at the club since he was 7 years, and he's a homegrown product born in Manchester. And I mean, he's had a fairly decent career at the club. Won a couple of things. Hasn't won the league, but won the FA Cup, won I think the Carabao and the Europa League. And when he burst on the scene with those two goals against Arsenal, you thought he was going to be one of the club greats, alongside people like Bobby Charlton, Wayne Rooney, Dennis Law, and the likes. But one of his, and listen, I sided with Amorim letting go of Rashford, but I think, in fairness to Rashford, unlike, say, when Rooney was one manager at United, well, eventually Moyes came and Mourinho, but you would say Rooney was almost managed by one manager in Sir Alex Ferguson.
At least at the peak of his powers.
At the peak of his powers, it was one manager.
Yeah.
But Rashford was given his chance by Louis van Gaal as an 18-year-old against Arsenal, and then after that he had to be managed by Mourinho, and then came in, I think, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, then there was Ralph Rangnick in between,
Even
and
Michael
then Michael Carrick, and then came in. And so, I mean, the club has gone through a period of turbulence and upheaval, and I don't think that has basically helped his development as a forward. So you had him representing England at, I think, the Euros in 2020, and then he missed. He played at the World Cup in Qatar 2022. Then he was dropped for Euro 2024. So I mean, he's gone through a lot. But something went amiss about Rashford, Mark, and we've discussed this before. I watched a couple of games where Rashford, if you're earning £350,000 a week, I thought he wasn't applying himself enough on the field of play. Today you have teams which are pressing upfield. You know, you defend as a unit from the first line of attack. And many times Rashford was just walking by, like his mind was elsewhere. And if we're seeing these things, if we're seeing these things from the comfort of our seats in Kampala, so imagine the touchline, the manager on the touchline, who, I mean, was always going to demand more. Obviously, with the nature, the state of affairs at United right now, there's a new manager who's got a new system, and he wants to make the team click. It's going to be more demanding, and I highly suspect, Mark, that there must have been some kind of bust up between Rashford and Amorim. In fairness, both people have downplayed it. Amorim insists it's purely his attitude in training. Rashford basically made his come and get me please said out of Manchester United. So I think at the end of the day, this loan move is good for both parties, good for Rashford, good for the club, and I don't see how he's going to come back to United in the summer. I don't care even if he scores every goal between now and June. For as long as Amorim is the United manager, I think he's going to leave the club.
It's like he's done. Okay, well, yeah, it's when you listen to Mark say those things, you feel a bit of sympathy for the young man. He's had a lot of problems. That the celebrations that he had under the last two managers before Amorim, the many in which he was pointing to his head. And as if to say that him striking back and getting goals was a show of mental strength, because he was going through quite a bit off the pitch, and there had been quite a lot. So you sympathize with him under those circumstances. Ultimately, though, for me, the problem that this has presented to Man United is about two or threefold. The first is that it's recurring in recent times. Erik ten Hag, the man that Ruben Amorim replaced, came into Man United and would soon fall out with Cristiano Ronaldo quite spectacularly. And Rashford has behaved better than Ronaldo because he has not gone in front of the camera and given interviews about the fallout the way Ronaldo did. And so there was a falling out there. And then Ten Hag then fell out with Sancho, Jadon Sancho. Now, Jadon Sancho is an English boy who Ten Hag accused of the same things Amorim is accusing Rashford of, the lack of application on the training ground. Now, Sancho also hit back on Twitter, which Rashford hasn't done, to his credit. Now, that falling out meant that Sancho left the club and all. So when it becomes a theme, now that with Marcus Rashford and almost with Garnacho, although Garnacho has since won himself back into Amorim's favour, because he and Rashford were dropped at the same time before the Man City the derby against Manchester City for the same reason. But now Amorim has actually gone on record publicly and said Garnacho is a reformed man since then. There were all these rumors about him being traded in this January window, being sold to Chelsea or whatever, and clearly it's not happening because he's starting games and actually has been impacting them. Never mind the shambles that was Crystal Palace. Before that, Garnacho had impacted on the games, on the wins against Southampton and actually on the wins against Fulham and Steaua Bucuresti, yeah, there were 3 wins on the trot in there, in which he had impacted on the game. But never mind. So when it becomes a recurring theme, manager versus dressing room, it doesn't augur well. So Amorim is more younger than Ten Hag, and of course a lot less experienced than Louis van Gaal was, and Mourinho. Mourinho also did have a falling out with Paul Pogba and Bastian Schweinsteiger. So it's a trend. It's a bit of a bad trend that is being set at United with managers and the dressing rooms. That a culture that needs to be cut out some way or other. Amorim perhaps shouldn't say one of the things or 2 things he has said in front of the camera. I know that he's got challenges with the English language being a second language, not first. But still, even under those circumstances, he should learn that the English media can bait you, and you don't have to to respond to them all the time. Yeah.
In fairness, Amorim actually, which is old, speaks better English than Eric Ten Hag.
He does.
And Ten Hag was a Dutchman. Dutchmen usually know English.
But
Ten Hag struggled with
yeah, Amorim is more articulate. Yeah, but I still believe, Mark, I get the sense, and this is from experience as well, that certain things he says are lost in translation.
Yeah, but listen,
when he wanted to say something about all the players, that Rashford is being held to the same standards as others, it didn't come out that way. It seemed like he was slamming Rashford only.
But the thing about Amorim, Mark, and we've got to listen. United are in a crisis. Amorim is a new manager.
Yeah.
He's got to make things work his way. And he's not going to change or transform United with gift gloves. That's a fact. So when it didn't work out for Eric Ten Hag, I actually think it worked out for Amorim. In as much as saying this right now sounds a bit odd because of the way in which the club is stuck in a rut. I think he's got to take charge of the club. He's been empowered. He's going to make some tough decisions. It's not going to be easy. I mean, Arsenal yesterday, we whipped Man City 5-0 for 5-1. If we remember when Arteta came at Arsenal, he had to make some big moves. You know how he managed Aubameyang, and then there was the Ozil issue. These were which were very controversial decisions, but they had to be made. And for him to take charge of that dressing room, he had to crack the whip. And I think if you're going to manage a big club, you have to make some big decisions because there are many egos. These are millionaires earning so much money. Rashford, until then, he had some kind of cult hero status at the club, having been an academic kid and also for the work he did off the pitch, you know, which made him quite a favorite for many people in the English society. But at the end of the day, Amorim has got to make decisions. And if you're a manager, some of the calls you're going to make, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't make them.
Yeah.
But I think he's got to impose himself on the team.
Yeah.
If United is to get back to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I've had the criticisms, Mark, but I'm with you on that 100%. There's so many people throwing things at him, especially when the results don't come. That's the results business, so that impacts a lot on opinions and on perceptions, on the way people see you. For many people, it's on the final score on the scoreboard. Yes. Personally, for me, I'm of course beyond that. The thing though is that the other thing I'd like to say before we go into that Crystal Palace game and what it means.
One other thing I'll say is this: save for the game against Newcastle, where United played perhaps the worst game I can recall in living memory, the first half. When you watched the United of Amorim, they have control of their games. you see a team which has control, which was never the case under Ten Hag. I don't remember what Ten Hag was trying to do. But apart from the first half against Newcastle, when it was a shambles, when he made that quick serve, when he took off Zaxi. Ever since then, even against Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, the big games, the games in Europe, even the games against Brighton, even the games when they were losing against, they had a bit of control on the game. And I think I can see what he's trying to do.
Perhaps Southampton first half was an exception. Southampton have played United off the park, but ironically that's a game United won with the late Ahmad Show. But the last thing I wanted to say about Rashford is that after all that has been said and done, I think that United as a club have made a wrong decision in actually sending Rashford on loan to Aston Villa. Because Aston Villa are a rival of United's. This season they are better. They've been better than United for 3 seasons in a row, maybe, but the last 2 definitely. And they are a team because they are playing better football. They are better coached right now. Unai Emery is doing a great job. They are doing better scouting, so the people they are bringing in and around are looking good, and they are also playing better and winning games. Now, Marcus Rashford, even at half-mast, walking into that team, is going to get more chances over 90 minutes than he's been getting at United to score goals because of what Yuri Tillmans is doing, what Bailey is doing, what all the guys and how they bring the ball up. McGinn and everybody else. So once he starts scoring goals, the pressure is on Amorim and United. And the English media is going to drum it up because United is their favorite the team.
Favorite
punch bag, the one they love to hate. They can't do without United because if United is not there, they don't have anything to write about. But they love to hit on it. And Rashford is an English boy. And we're going into the World Cup in 2026. So they probably want him back in there. If he starts to shine, United are under pressure unless they're also winning. So that's why for me, it's a bad decision under those circumstances for them to send him there. When Alex Ferguson was in charge, if he fell out with a player, one of the things he made sure of was that guy was not going to show him up by playing for a rival in the Premiership. David Beckham, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Jaap Stam, everybody got onto a plane to a foreign land where Ferguson was not going to be judged because they were facing him directly. He shipped those guys off. Roy Keane to Celtic. They were not playing in the same league. Don't make that mistake. And if it is the same league, then send Rashford to Ipswich or Wolves, which are lower than United. Do not send him to Aston Villa, who are even going to beat you up at Villa Park. And are going to finish ahead of you and show you up. I think as a club, for me, I understand United, because of the profit and sustainability rules, United need to get money off their books. Wages and transfers, and get money in so that they balance books.
Actually, the Villa deal was the best for United under the PSR rules, because Villa are shouldering 80% of the wages. Rashford is the club's biggest earner.
Yes.
At least 65k a week.
Yeah.
And then there are also certain add-ons.
Yeah.
In the event that Villa qualify for the Champions League, if they're going to make the deal permanent in the summer.
Yeah.
So when you did the math, it was the best deal.
Yeah, the math makes sense when Mark says under those profits and sustainability rules, PSR. But there are aesthetics.
United's chance right now, I think Amorim is thinking in his head, he's not going to win there's no hope in the league. He's not going to finish top 4.
No.
Probably won't even finish in the top 6 or 7 or 8.
No.
His chance for a trophy is either in the FA Cup or the Europa. I think he's good at the team is looking decent in actually both competitions, especially in Europa. And then if you win the Europa, you can come back into the Champions League. You can sneak into the Champions League.
Yes.
Which you want to. If you win the FA Cup, you can also get into the Europa.
Yeah.
But clearly, the club's ambitions right now, as far as competitive football is concerned, all of the competitions is going to be the FA Cup and the Europa. That's something which Mourinho did actually at the club. When the team was way off the Championship, he focused on the Europa for the club to get into the Champions League. They won the Europa and the Carabao. I tend to think that Amorim is thinking along those lines. So Rashford's move to Aston Villa in the interim, loan or confirmed, probably is not going to have the club right now. I think between now and at the end of the summer, because the Matthias Tel deal fell through, the club has got the opportunity to scout for 1 or 2 formidable strikers who are going to come and fill that gap which clearly Hoyland is not going to
He's not
field,
going to.
or Zach
Or
Six.
Zach, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Right,
the first choice remains Victor Gyökeres, who's scoring goals at Sporting and who Amorim has actually been coaching. But there's a few other strikers across Europe who are doing that. Incidentally, just last night I was watching Vlahovic score at Juventus, and so too Colomwani, the guy we spoke about here. I watched him score twice for Juventus. He's made a he's made a big impact over the first 2 games he's played for Juventus already. That was somebody in the country. But there's others in the market out there that you can look at. I mean, Benjamin Sesko, even in the Premiership itself, you can still try and bully one of the clubs in there. You can even force an Oli Watkins to come, or a Raul Jimenez, or whoever.
Or go and break the bank for Lautaro Martinez.
Lautaro Martinez, yeah, that kind. So anyway, the strikers are there. The thing though is that when Mark talks about Amorim and the chances in the cups, that really is where he's got an opportunity to make a quick impact on United, so that it gives them the time to build the kind of team that can win the league over time. Because the reason United managers are not getting that opportunity is because guys are not giving them a chance because they want them to win quickly. So this one presents quick wins. However, for Amorim to win either the Europa League or the FA Cup, there's got to be a few things happening. He is being lambasted for having drastically changed the playing formation, which many believe perhaps doesn't suit the players, many of the players that he has. I have defended him on that. I like the consistency with which he has insisted that he's going to play 3 at the back and a double pivot and 2 wing backs and 3 forwards who are in a triangle formation, inside and not wide, as the 3. So 2 10s and a 9 and a 9. The thing though is that one of the things
Well, he doesn't have a 9, but yes.
he doesn't, yeah, that kind of thing. One of the things I'm going to criticize him about is in how quickly he needs to find the go-to people and insist that those are the ones who start, especially the key games. Because the thing is, he keeps changing. Now, in the game against Crystal Palace, which United started really well and then petered out, the changes he made have been criticized by people. Playing Kobe Mino as a false 9 is something that has been attacked. Now,